Hey, I'm Babina. Today's video is one that has been covered to death, and I'm definitely late to the party, but I'm responding to it anyways because I want to.
Do you really believe that science is the only answer to all of life's questions?
That depends on what you mean by all of life's questions. Science is the best way that we know of to discover how the universe works, so yes, science is the answer to all questions of how things happen.
If God doesn't exist, why do you care if people worship him?
1. Because I care about the truth. 2. Because people do some really fucked up shit in the name of worshiping God. 3. Because many people don't believe, but keep pretending out of fear of embarrassment, disownment, or being fired. And 4. Because you care that we don't believe, and you won't shut up about it.
Seriously, can nothing create something?
That's an interesting question. My answer is, I don't know, and neither do you or anyone else. Why? Because it's never been tested. Even in a vacuum, there is still something. Space itself is a thing. This might seem strange, but I can assure you there is more to it. Empty space is constantly generating particles and antiparticles in pairs. They pop into existence and then collide back together. The zero of space produces a 1 and a negative 1, and then the 1 and negative 1 combine into a 0. We can't interact with these particles, but we can prove that they exist. If you take two plates and put them really close together, you can limit the size of the particles that generate between the two plates. Since there are less particles between than outside, the plates are pushed together by the pressure. Another example is Hawking radiation. If a particle and antiparticle generate on the edge of a black hole, one particle can get pulled in while the other particle escapes, and over time this decreases the mass of the black hole. If you can get some nothing and check to make sure it doesn't create something, then I might have to rethink my worldview. But until then, this question means nothing, and not the something kind.
If you've never been to the ends of the earth, if you've never been to every planet, if you've never been to every part of the universe, how do you know that God doesn't exist?
I never said that I know that God doesn't exist. I said I don't believe that God exists. The default position is to not believe something. For example, if I tell you I have an invisible redneck fairy in my closet, you should not believe me until I can prove it. Even if I say that I have clothes in my closet, you should not believe me until I prove it. In the latter case, it isn't very hard to believe that I have clothes in my closet, and it isn't very significant, so you might take my word for it. On the other hand, if the police were searching my home for drugs, and I told them that there were clothes in my closet, they might not believe me. If and when I go to another planet and I find God, I'll believe that God exists, but until then, I don't.
What is the origin of life?
Well, let's see. Basic monomers formed, which link together to form polymers. RNA formed, more complex molecules formed, many molecules joined together into cells, some cells went inside of other cells, some cells grouped together, etc., etc., etc.
If humans are animals, then where does our sense of justice, where does our sense of morality, where does our sense of what's right and what's wrong come from?
Humans aren't very strong or dangerous on their own, so having other humans on your side is very helpful. If everybody realizes that it's better to stick together, then everybody can say, hey, I'd be more inclined to stick with this group if I wasn't being raped every 30 seconds, and then the other humans would agree to stop raping.
If you were given irrefutable evidence that the God of the Bible is real, would you become a Christian?
Yes, of course I would. Do you have some?
Tell me something. If evolution is real, and if evolution is really happening, how come there are no transitional forms that we can observe?
There are. Two examples are the so-called lungfish, a fish that can breathe air using lungs, and Chrysopelia, or flying snake, which is a snake that can glide.
Do you live according to what you believe, or do you live your life according to what you lack in belief?
I live my life according to what I believe, and a God exists is not on that list.
If God doesn't exist and the Christian dies, the Christian loses nothing. But if God does exist and you die as an atheist, do you not lose more? Will you not lose your soul?
You do lose a lot if you're a Christian and you end up wrong. For one thing, it could be that a different religion is right. For another, you wasted a large portion of your life going to church, Sunday school, and any other religious gatherings. And even if you didn't lose anything, I can't make myself believe in a God. If God really knows everything, then he would know that I only pretended to believe so I could go to heaven.
Hebrews chapter 11 verse 3 says, "By faith we understand that the universe was created by the word of God, so that what is seen was not made out of things that are visible." Now, just because we can't visibly see something, it doesn't mean that it doesn't exist. We cannot see God, but it doesn't mean that God doesn't exist.
Of course not. There are plenty of things that we can't see, but there is some way to detect them. God, on the other hand, has never been detected. Ever.
For example, we cannot see the wind, but we do feel the wind. We also feel the effects of the wind, and we also experience the movement of the wind.
Exactly. The problem is that we can't detect the effects of God.
And so the truth is, creation itself testifies of an all-powerful and imaginative creator. And so to the atheist, I would encourage you to be open-minded to the existence of God and to the possibilities of having a relationship with your creator.
I am definitely open-minded, but that doesn't mean I'll accept it without any evidence. Not only was this video covered to death a while ago, but it's from the same channel as last week, as well as my third debunking video. I might need to find some other channels to debunk, or not. Maybe this channel will keep me busy for a while. Follow me on Minds, Twitter, and DeviantArt. Links are in the description, along with the link to the original video. I hope you enjoyed.